Hey there, movie fans. Today is the 30th anniversary of Lee Marvin's death, and to honor this man, I thought, why don't I do a video and show you the Lee Marvin movies I have in my DVD and Blu-ray collection. And I'm going to show them in chronological order. And the first one is a good little western, The Duel at Silver Creek, by the great Don Siegel, with Audie Murphy and Lee Marvin as the bad guy. This came out in 1952, I believe. Here's another good little western, Hangman's Knot, with Randall Scott, and again Marvin as the bad guy. And yet again another western in which Marvin plays the bad guy. I mean, he was typecast a lot early in his career. Gun Fury, another good western. This one. The Big Heat, which is a film noir classic by Fritz Lang. This is the one that has the notorious coffee pot scene. Those who've seen the movie knows what I mean. Excellent film, this one. Classic film, this one. The Wild One. With Marvin, here he is right there. Marvin playing the role of Chino, the leader of the other motorcycle gang, the rivalry of Brando's gang. And there was a rivalry between Brando and Marvin, both on and off screen. This is The K Mutiny. Terrific film with a terrific cast. Marvin plays one of the sailors. I believe his character's name is Meatball, if I'm correct. And here is the DVD that I have as well. This is part of the Humphrey Bogart collection. Bad Day at Black Rock. This is a brilliant neo-western with some noir elements. Spencer Tracy plays a war veteran who comes into this very small town where he wants to unravel a mystery that the inhabitants of this town wants to keep secret. And Marvin plays one of the inhabitants. Brilliant film, absolutely. I still need to get this on Blu-ray. Violent Saturday. Fantastic film as well. It's a film noir in color with different characters and different storyline. Marvin plays one of the bank robbers in this film. Excellent film. Next one is Shakeout in 101. This is a little known espionage thriller that mainly takes place inside a diner, which is actually the home base for smuggling nuclear secrets out of the country. It's a good film. It's a good little obscure film. 7 Men From Now, great western with Brando Scott as the protagonist and Marvin once again as the antagonist. Originally John Wayne was going to play the Scott character, but he was too busy with another movie. But he did produce it though. His production company produced it, Bat Jack. But great western. This is the Missouri Traveler, or as the spine says, the Missouri Reveler. This is one of those public domain DVDs, at a poor transfer. So hopefully there will be a Blu-ray coming out with a much better transfer, of course. But Lee Marvin plays a wealthy rancher who wants to give a runaway orphan an education, played by Brandon the Wild, the kid from Shane. But a local newspaperman wants to do the same. So there's this rivalry going on between the two. Next one is The Comancheros by Michael Curtiz with John Wayne. Now, apparently John Wayne was so impressed with Lee Marvin that he recommended him to John Ford to star in this movie, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, and Marvin plays the title role, Liberty Valance. He's right there. No. I have a very stubborn camera there, but this is a great film. Marvin and John Ford got along very well together. They both served in World War II, and Marvin was allowed to do things on the set while nobody else was allowed to. Not even John Wayne was allowed to do things, because John Ford was a very hard man to work with. He even treated John Wayne like shit sometimes. John Wayne was actually afraid of John Ford. But yeah, great film, Liberty Valance. And he also did another film with John Wayne and John Ford, which is Donovan's Reef. This is the final collaboration between John Ford and John Wayne. You can see Marvin here fighting against Lee Marvin. They constantly fight in this film. It's kind of like an adventure comedy. It's very enjoyable. Not their best films, but it's enjoyable. The Killers, with a great remake of the 1946 version, with Marvin playing one of the two killers. Cat Ballou. Now this is the movie that won Marvin the Oscar for Best Actor. I don't know for which character, because he basically plays two characters, but I guess it's for this one. There's a nice little photo there of him with the horse. In his acceptance speech, he said that half of the Oscar belongs to the horse. Next one is Ship of Fools, which is part of this Stanley Kramer film collection. This is the one where Vivian Leigh hit Marvin on the head with her shoe, and he actually kept that shoe as a souvenir. Next one is The Professionals, which is a brilliant Western. Absolutely one of my all-time favorites. Burt Lancaster and Lee Marvin, they could not get along with each other due to Marvin's heavy drinking. And it is known that Marvin was drunk quite often, when he was making movies. But according to one of the producers of this movie, the only time he was really drunk during the making of The Professionals was with the when he was making the scene in the beginning, where he was demonstrating the machine gun. The Dirty Dozen, phenomenal film. Although Marvin himself wasn't very happy with this one, because he said that it has nothing to do with the actual war, and he should know, because he was a Marine, who fought in the war. But he did enjoy it. He did admit that, and I think it's a phenomenal film, absolutely. It also has a bonus film, the sequel actually, with Lee Marvin as well, from 1985, which is okay, but definitely not as good as the first one. Point Blank. Now this have to be the quintessential Lee Marvin movie. I mean, it's a brilliant film. It's absolutely a brilliant film by John Boorman. Brilliant. And the next one is also from the same director, John Boorman, and that is Hell in the Pacific, co-starring Toshiro Mifune. Wonderful film as well. Marvin plays a U.S. Fighter pilot, and Mifune plays a Japanese Navy captain. The boat stranded on a small island, somewhere in the Pacific Ocean, and they fight first, but then they quickly realize that they have to work together in order to survive. But it's a wonderful film, and the chemistry between the two actors is just fantastic. Great film. Paint Your Wagon, which is a Western comedy musical. Marvin sings in it as well, but Marvin has a really good voice, if you ask me. Eastwood, not so much, but it's a very enjoyable film. Now, Marvin was set to star in The Wild Bunch. I've said this story before, but I'll say it again. But Marvin was set to star in The Wild Bunch by Sam Peckinpah, but he chose to do this one instead because he was offered $1 million, which was a lot of money to pay an actor, in those days, back in the 1960s. But that's the biggest mistake he ever made. But still, it is an enjoyable film. Monty Walsh, extraordinary Western. Marvin plays one of his finest performances in this film. Yeah, beautiful. Also with the John Moreau, who recently passed away as well. Legendary French actress. This is a great one. Pocket Money. Now, I have to admit that it's been a very long time since I've seen this movie, but I remember liking it, and you simply cannot go wrong with these two guys, Lee Marvin and Paul Newman. Next one is Prime Cut, a good movie as well. Gene Hackman as the villain. He's great. Cece Spacek in her breakthrough role. Really good film, this one. Next one is Emperor of the North, also known as Emperor of the North Pole. Very entertaining movie as well. Also with Ernest Borgnine. They made quite a few films together. I believe they made 6 movies, if I'm not mistaken. They were in the Dirty Dozen and also in the Violent Saturday there. This is The Iceman Comet by John Frankenheimer. This is the 4-hour film version of the legendary stage play by Eugene O'Neill. And there's Marvin right there. Also with a very young Jeff Bridges right here. The Spice Gang. Marvin plays an outlaw who meet these 3 young guys, including a very young Ron Howard. And these guys, they look up to him, and they idolize him. They want to be him, and they form this gang, the Spice Gang. But they soon find out that he is not what they want him to be, But it's a wonderful film, absolutely. Next one is The Clench Minh. Originally Samuel Fuller was going to direct it, but Paramount had his screenplay rewritten behind his back, and obviously he was not happy with that. So he walked out, and Marvin wanted to walk out as well, but he already signed the contract, so he had to do it. But he was supposed to play the leader of the Ku Klux Klan, who at one point in the movie changed his mind and turns against the Klan. And I thought that would have been an interesting character development, But now he just plays the sheriff who, he's not for the Klan, but he's not against it either. He's neutral, But despite all that, the movie was alright. Definitely not bad at all, but it could have been better, if you ask me. Next one is Shout at the Devil, which is a very decent action adventure. Also with Roger Moore. I enjoyed it. And there's another enjoyable film, and this is a film that nobody really talks about. The Great Scout and Cat House Thursday. It's little known, little seen Western comedy. Marvin, also with Oliver Reed, who plays a half-breed Indian. There it is. Marvin, Oliver Reed, and Estrada Martin. They play a group of thieves who go after the guy who screwed them over. A long time ago. Played by Robert Culp. Here he is. But this is very entertaining, I thought. The humor at times can be a bit silly, however. But Marvin and Oliver Reed was, of course, it's known that they were heavy drinkers, and they had a drinking contest on the set of this movie, and it was won by Oliver Reed after 10 hours. Marvin just passed out. But I would certainly recommend this. It's a fun movie, absolutely. The Big Red One by Samuel Fuller. They finally made a movie together, and what a movie this is! It's absolutely magnificent. One of Marvin's personal favorite films, because according to him, this film depicts war very accurately. Yeah, magnificent film. The Big Red One. This is Dead Hunt, also with Charles Bronson there. Now, I revisited this movie a few months ago, and it's still a fantastic film. Still a fantastic film, absolutely. And I also got the Anchor Bay DVD, which is long out of print now. Gorky Park. Burt Lancaster was going to star in this movie, but he had to drop out due to illness, so Marvin replaced him. And finally, I have his very last film, and that is The Delta Force, also with Chuck Norris. He was in poor health when he was making this film, and he also felt that he was too old to play the commando. He was 61 at the time, but it is an 80s canon classic. Anyway, that is it for my Lee Marvin collection. Obviously, he made a lot more movies, and I'm hoping to get them as well at some point. Including the television series that he did, like M Squad and Lawbreaker. I'd like to get those on DVD someday. But anyway, that is it for now. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.